Hello, people. I have finished another book. Under the Banner of Heaven, a story of violent faith. This is about a murder, a double murder, actually, that was committed by these Lafferty brothers who were fundamentalist Mormons, which is just one of many, many sects that have split off from the main Mormon church. I learned more than I ever wanted to know about Mormons in this book. And while this book is highly critical of Mormons and Mormon history, I'm sure that the vast majority of Mormons are decent, law-abiding citizens who don't practice polygamy and who aren't pedophiles, and they're not murderers. So, that being said, let's get into it. This book is by Jon Krakauer, and I believe he wrote Into the Wild. I believe at some point in the past I read Into the Wild. I don't know. I can't think of anywhere where I have that book, but I'm pretty sure I read it. This was published in 2004. The first one was published in 2003. And in the very back, he answers some criticism that some of the Mormon elders had directed at his book. And where it was justified, he admits that, yeah, he made a mistake. 385 pages. And I wrote down 385 because this is one of those annoying books that the page numbers are so small that you can't tell an 8 from a 6. It was actually 365. Let's go to the second paragraph on page 35. I'm not a religious person, so even though much of Mormonism appears ridiculous to me, it's equally ridiculous as, if you investigate any other religion. To me, anyway. Second paragraph. For all their fecundity, Mormon fundamentalists are strangely squeamish about sex. Boys and girls are forbidden to date or even flirt before marriage. Sex education consists of teaching children that the human body is a shameful vessel that should be veiled from the eyes of others at all times. We were told to treat each other like snakes, explains one of Debbie's sons. Women and girls are required to wear long dresses even while swimming. Boys and men wear long pants and long-sleeved shirt. Both genders must wear sacred long underwear beneath their clothing at all times, even on sweltering summer days. According to the law of chastity, sexual intercourse is officially forbidden even between husband and wife unless the woman is ovulating. And I'm pretty sure that those laws, or at least that last one, probably gets disobeyed quite a bit. He goes into the story of Elizabeth Smart. And Elizabeth Smart was kidnapped from her house and held as a sexual slave for a long time. And the guy that kidnapped her was a Mormon fundamentalist. And the author, I think anyway, goes through great pains to make sure that when he's talking about a fundamentalist, he says that. He's not talking about the regular Mormons. Which, by the way, there's millions of them. And at any one time, they have 60,000 people out in the world. Those people that we see riding a bike with wearing a dress pants and a dress shirt on a hot summer day, knocking on your door. There's 60,000 of them out there every day. And, if they just convert one person a year, this author claims that it's the fastest growing religion in the United States. Second paragraph, page 59, Joseph Smith. And Joseph Smith just seems like a huckster to me, and a con man that maybe, towards the end he had some kind of a mental illness that made him really believe what he was saying. He's or narcissist. I don't know what you call those people. Second paragraph, 59. These and other details of Joseph's money digging were revealed in affidavits and other documents generated by a trial held in March 1826, People of the State of New York versus Joseph Smith, in which the younger Scryer was hauled into court and found guilty of being a disorderly person and an impostor. Although Joseph had applied himself to scrying with vigor, dedication, and the finest tools of his trade, it seems that he had been unable to find Stowell's silver mine. Scryer apparently is somebody that goes on your property and digs around, uses magic glasses and peepstones to find hidden valuables. Nor, in fact, during the previous 6 years he had worked as a money digger, had he ever managed to unearth any other actual treasure. When this had come to light, a nephew of Stowell's had filed a legal claim accusing Joseph of being a fraud. This is what Joseph Smith did before he found the golden tablets that were the real Bible. And, just from that, you kind of scratch your head and say, magic glasses and peepstones. Peepstones were a stone that you find, you put them in a hat, and then you put your face in the hat, and it reveals to you that you can see magic things through the peepstones. And the magic glasses were something that the original angel, the angel's name was Moroni. No shit, his name was Moroni. He gave Joseph Smith these magic glasses so that he could read the golden tablets. And at one point he took them away. I don't know. I forget exactly what the story was. Absolute crazy Book of Mormon. It is absolutely crazy. I mean, if you buy the story of the golden plates, all I can say is you're pretty fucking gullible, and you got some kind of a hole in your life that you need to fill. But the other part is that the original Mormons came from Israel like 3,000 years ago and rowed their boats or whatever the fuck to America. And then they split up into two groups that went to war with each other. The evil group won, and for that, God turned their skin brown, and they became the Indians. And there's a lot of people that have spent their time debunking that story. For one, American Indians don't have any DNA from the Middle East. And for two, apparently, these are the only two I can remember. Apparently, in the book, it talks about them using wagons and carts, and nobody had a wheel in North America. Nobody had a wheel anywhere in the Americas, except for the Aztecs had them, and they used them for children's toys. That's all they ever used them for. Mostly because they didn't have beasts of burden, so there was no reason to have a wheel. Sovereign and Moorish. At one point in the book, these Lafferty people and many of the other people, they take their driver's license and they take all the, stuff like that, and they send them back to the state because they don't feel like they need them or they should need them. And so they're just like these idiotic sovereign citizens that I like to laugh at on YouTube. And I'm wondering, because I never did figure out where the Moorish American thing came from. I'm wondering if that has something to do with the Book of Mormon. I do not feel like investigating that to find out. The Meadows Massacre, 1857. This is after the Mormons are kicked out of several places. They end up at the Great Salt Lake. And they feel like there's going to be a war between them and the federal government. And they get real paranoid. And there's this wagon train of people, quite a few people that try passing through their territory. And the Mormons, it sounds like, along with some American Indians, end up killing everybody there. Some of the real young kids they take, and the federal government actually gets these young kids back and takes them back to their next of kin. But they lay siege to this wagon train. These people circle their wagons and they hold out for a little while. They start to run out of ammunition, and the Mormons and the Indians, if the Indians were even there, tell them that they'll let them go. They just got to give up their rifles and everything, and they do it, and they kill these unarmed people, and fairly horrible. The Mormon Church today still denies any involvement in this. Footnote on page 275. There's a lot of footnotes in this book. The footnotes are really small, really tiny print. And if I start out a book reading all the footnotes, I tend to finish it reading all the footnotes, so I read them all. Some of these footnotes are even italicized, and it makes them even harder to read. Utah has been called the fraud capital of the world by the Wall Street Journal. And within the state, no place has more white-collar crime than Utah County. According to FBI agent Jim Malpede, at any given moment, the FBI is investigating scams totaling $50 million to $100 million perpetrated by con artists like Kenyon Blackmore based in that county. The uncommonly high incidence of fraud is a direct consequence of the uncommonly high percentage of Utah County residents who are Mormons. When saints are invited to invest in dubious schemes by other saints, they tend to be overly trusting. Michael Hines, director of enforcement for the Utah Securities Division, told the Denver News, the Deseret News, that in Utah County it is common for scammers to ensnare their victims by asking them to evaluate the proposed investment through prayer. People need to realize, Hines warned, that God is not a good investment advisor. And sprinkled throughout the book is the fact that some Mormons, not all of them, feel that it's okay to cheat people or to cheat the federal government because they are not Mormons. And there's a book excerpt that starts every chapter, and this one is on page 291. And this is another one of those things that's italicized, and it's kind of hard to read. And I want to read this because this is Joseph Smith. Critical examination of the lives and beliefs of gurus demonstrates that our psychiatric labels and our conceptions of what is or is not mental illness are woefully inadequate. How, for example, does one distinguish an unorthodox or bizarre faith from delusion? Gurus are isolated people, dependent upon their disciples, with no possibility of being disciplined by a church or criticized by contemporaries. They are above the law. The guru usurps the place of God. Whether gurus have suffered from manic depressive illness, schizophrenia, or any other form of recognized diagnosable mental illness is interesting but ultimately unimportant. What distinguishes gurus from more orthodox teachers is not their manic depressive mood swings, nor their thought disorders, not their delusional beliefs, not their hallucinatory visions, not their mystical states of ecstasy. It is their narcissism. And that's it. Thanks for watching. I haven't started anything yet because I just finished this. This is going to go in a box and hopefully go back to Michigan, make it on the cabin shelves. And as always, thanks for watching.